Wrestling fans, now you too can look as cool as Monty and the Pharaoh by wearing the official Monty and the Pharaoh sunglasses at night for $8.99 each. That's only $8.99 each. Now available at montyandthepharaoh.com.
Get serious, man. So Dark Side.
This is Monty and the Pharaoh. What do you mean? Let's get serious.
Dark Side of the Ring. So
now
it
we have
seems
to
like
get
they just
serious.
keep coming hard, and they're making some headway, right? And so
can I just
go ahead.
preclude it with who's better than Kanyon? Okay, now go.
Well, I'm going to open up with this.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Chris Kanyon?
I loved Chris Kanyon. I really did. I enjoyed him back in the day. I thought he was very entertaining. I also thought he was an amazing wrestler and a very underrated wrestler because he was doing moves that I had never seen before.
I never heard you mention that guy once.
I thought he was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Chris Kanyon was awesome. He entertained the shit out of me. I thought he was great. Did I love him like I do a Valentine or a Hogan? No. But to be fair to Chris Kanyon, when the hell was he ever booked like someone who was going to be a world champion? Never. So it is what it is.
By the way, Danny, Sasha Banks hotter? Yeah.
Sasha Banks, then who?
Sonya. That's what I'm assuming he's
Sasha
saying.
Banks is way hotter than Sonya. Oh, my God. Yeah. Why do you even think Sonya was hot?
Oh, she's so hot,
That's
man.
interesting.
Oh, my
Why?
God.
What is it about her? You like chicks that could beat the shit out of you?
Yeah.
Wow, you
kinda
are a
dig that a lot.
masochist, Mr. Monty. Very interesting. I'm going to have to think about that one for a while. Maybe she is hot. I got to think about that
You
one
might
for a
have to
little
think
while.
about that. Unless says, Monty, don't forget to send Camel Cigarettes a bill for advertising. Don't worry, it's on the way. Matty Ice is popping that up right now. All right, so let's get
Smoke
serious.
'em if you got 'em.
Back to Kanyon, right?
Yeah, what did you think of him? I thought he was awesome.
Not much.
Really? Why?
I never
Good
really...
build?
It's funny.
Good wrestler?
He was.
Good on the mic?
He was
Was
pretty-
he lacking something?
I just never took him seriously.
Because
I
they
guess.
never booked him seriously.
But even in WCW, they thought they did, right?
I don't think so. Who's Better Than Kanyon was great, but that's because he made it great. I always felt like he was just not... There was a ceiling for him. I always felt like he never really got a chance to break it, you know?
So Kanyon says, you don't know what it's like to be in my head. Those words from Chris Kanyon relayed through pro wrestler, manager, and close friend James Mitchell on the latest episode of Vice's Dark Side of the Ring docuseries speak so much of the life of the pioneering pro wrestler. Cannon's pro wrestling career spanned 18 years, ending with him ultimately dying in 2010. He was a fan favorite during his famed Monday Night War era at the late 90s to the 2000s, wooing millions of fans in both WCW and WWE with his knack of offensive innovation, busting out moves to become a modern standard.
Yep, a lot of people use the moves that he first introduced. Yep, very true.
So, tell me, Jimmy.
Yeah.
When you watched this, did
Yeah.
you think the issue was that he was ashamed that he was gay? Or did you think he was... Because I felt like he used his fear of being outed as a way to personally bully others. Does that sound weird?
I
like me
think he
saying
was
that?
really afraid of being discovered, with his secret, and I do feel that he acted out on his frustration by unfortunately taking it out on apparently James Mitchell quite a bit. Some of the things, and you know what's weird at the end? James Mitchell made it very clear after describing all the violent things that Kanyon did to him that he still loved him. That he missed
But
him.
if Kanyon
You know,
did that
it's
to
so
him,
bizarre.
If he did that to him, you know he did it to others. Right? He was a big dude, like you said.
I'm not sure about that. It seemed like James made it pretty clear that only a few people even were privy to this. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't hear too many other stories on the documentary about him going and taking it out on others. I mean, I think that's more speculating. You know?
No, it's total speculation, right? Because I don't know the story.
He clearly abused James, though.
Yeah, but
and it was very, very unsettling hearing what he did to James Mitchell. I was
if
wow,
you're a spouse beater,
yeah,
more than likely you beat.
God only knows what else you do.
Right.
I understand.
My whole point is, if you
I
act
get
like, because it seemed like a lot of overreactions and really not about his homosexuality. It was just about a whole bunch of other weird stuff.
Right. Well, how much drug intake was going on back in those days, too?
Great point, man.
You know, I mean, drugs will fuck you up, especially if you're taking the right combination of shit. And unfortunately, wrestlers, they do the the pain pills with the booze and the cocaine, and it's just a combustible formula, bro. It just is.
Jimmy Finger says this: Kanyon, aside from battling the secret, I think his mix of health, undiagnosed bipolar on top of it.
Sure.
You have a powder keg in your hands.
Listen, it's really frustrating for bipolar people because they just can't seem to get through to other people that, hey, there's issues going on here, and I don't have control over it, and it's real painful, and I wish people would understand that, So I get that much.
Guys, I really, really want to dig a little deeper into this subject. We're going to take a commercial break and come back. I think this is really important because I think this story is well beyond a pro wrestler who was hiding the fact that he was gay.
For sure.
There's so many layers to this story.
I bet.
I want to dig up, get the Pharaoh's opinion, and get all your opinions after this commercial break.
See you in a sec.
The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty the Pharaoh, seen here only out of Indie Music TV, where we're covering the tragic death of Chris Kanyon and the things that were involved in his life and things that I think regular human beings go through. And I think it's something that we really should speak about at this point.
Fire away. What do you got?
So, Jimmy, let's talk about Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay.
Do you think? Look, everybody knows controversy sells.
I think it's the
stories,
fucking National Enquirer.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that sound? I think it's the National Enquirer, pretty much. I think it's a dirt sheet. I think it's just something that, is always got a slanted view. We've seen it before with other specials. They're presenting basically one major push of an angle towards it. In this case, it was all about because he was gay. And I agree with you. The man's life was a lot more about than just that one angle that they were ramming down our throats. I am sure that there were many things that played into Chris Canyon's downfall. Many, many things. I was very, very shaken by how he treated James Mitchell, though. I will say that. I did not like hearing about that stuff. That surprised me, But it's coming from James Mitchell, so that was rough. That was really rough.
So one of the things that came out of it is they pulled a Howard Stern interview with John Cena, where Cena basically gets asked about Chris Kanyon, right?
Yep.
And Cena... I want you to elaborate on it, but Cena basically says, hey, look, the guy you can't just be a wrestler, you have to be an entertainer, and he just wasn't very good. And then the cancel culture came out and was canceled John Cena over an interview from whenever.
Right. Well, that was when John was very young. You know that, right? John's very young in that interview. That was asinine, what John Cena said. It was incorrect. It wasn't even close to being the truth. Chris Kanyon was very entertaining. So I don't know what the hell John Cena's talking about. As far as in-ring, ran circles around John Cena in the ring. Not even close. However, it factor, superstar factor, John Cena's got him beat, and John Cena knows it. John Cena probably knew it then. He also probably knew that Vince loves me and I'm going to get the push and I'm going to talk the way I want to and I'll say whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they told him to say something like that.
Well,
I thought that was absolutely asinine. What are you talking about? Chris Canyon's not entertaining? He couldn't cut it? What are you looking for? You're clueless, And by the way, this makes me feel bad because I really like John Cena Sr. He was a great guest. But I'm sorry, John Cena's opinion on Chris Kanyon is wrong asinine, and sucks.
But I kind of
The
think
end.
it was taken.
You know?
It was that segment.
There's
was
no way to
taken,
take that the wrong way. He said what he said.
There were certain parts of that conversation because I remember listening to that interview. I don't remember the Cannon comments because I
Yeah.
really didn't care. To be honest with you, I
Yeah.
was like, "What are they even talking about this guy for?"
Well,
But
boy, you're a lot better. Go on.
well, no, I mean at the time the guy was alive, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I was annoyed then. I was like, "What the hell are you looking at? Are you kidding
let me ask you this then:
Yeah,
why
go
aren't you annoyed with Stern?
Meaning what? Howard Stern is a shock jock. He has never, ever pretended to be anything other than a shock jock. Do I expect it out of him? Yeah, I do. I do. You know, Lenny Bruce was a shock comedian. I expected him to be that way, to be cutting edge and say racy things and do those sorts
So
of things.
you knew Cannon was one of the, I'm not going to call him part of the Stern crew.
Yes.
But he was in there quite often.
Yes, he
So
was.
here's Howard.
Boy, oh boy, did Ric Flair really wreck him.
Let's go step by step. So
Sure.
Howard
Sure.
sticks the bear with Cena,
That's Howard.
and then they have Ric Flair come in
Yep.
and
destroys Kanyon.
This is Canyon, who's now become part of the Howard Stern
And
family.
you could see in Chris's eyes when Rick was dressing him down, that hurt.
Oh yeah.
You could see it in Canyon's
So
eyes.
where
Was
is
Howard laughing the whole time?
It's not even the point of this.
No,
man.
I'm actually curious.
I
Howard
don't.
like laughing.
Is he laughing?
You're being mocked.
You know what? I'm not sure
know?
what Howard was doing.
Yeah,
but I do
yeah.
know this. Okay. When I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
found Howard to be very funny, and I thought it was okay what he was doing
Mm-hmm.
to all the mentally handicapped people. He was like, I thought for somewhere in my mind, I thought it was funny.
He was raunchy.
In my
humor.
50s.
He was raunchy. Humor.
No, but in my 50s, I find it disgusting. I mean, look, I'm going to bring back remember Dana Plato from
Yeah.
Different Strokes, right?
Yeah. So you found him very funny when he was younger, and now you find him.
Well, because I
disgusting.
think when
Well,
I
there's
saw,
only one word to describe you, and I'm going to spell it out for you.
What's that?
SAWFT. Soft.
wow,
I'm just
Wow.
kidding. I'm kidding. What do you got?
all I'm saying to you, bro, is this:
Yeah.
it's like I stopped watching him after the whole Dana Plato thing, right? Because
Tell the audience about that. I know how much
Dana
this bothers you.
Dana Plato, who, if anyone doesn't know, and again, Different Strokes with
Gary Coleman,
Coleman
and Todd Bridges.
thank you, sir. Very popular show for us growing up.
Huge show back in the 80s.
Dana Plato was
Situation
one of the
comedy.
more attractive
Posed for
women,
Playboy.
absolute gorgeous young
She was
lady
gorgeous, absolutely.
who fell into some drug
A
problems.
lot of drug problems.
So Howard always made it a part of his shtick to bring these type of people on,
Right.
and have fans, as we all know, when you go on all these pages that feel it necessary to be, to be disrespectful to a level.
Sure.
Again, when you put yourself in a public eye, you got to expect to be critiqued, and
Right.
you have to expect to be attacked.
Right.
But there's a level of dignity that people should do that in. Like, so for example,
So many don't, though,
if
but go ahead.
Right. So if people say, Monty, you suck, fine.
You're being
Get it.
kind. It's usually Jimmy Farrow's on cocaine. Go on.
A
go
mess.
on.
Kimberly Drummond, exactly.
Yeah.
So-
Kimberly Drummond, yeah.
Anyway, Plato's on there, and these people are calling in, telling her to kill herself. They're telling her to take drugs. And Howard,
Vicious scumbags.
But here's the scumbag: is Stern is
Stirring the soup.
scumbag.
Stirring the soup.
She
Now, do
killed
you-
herself,
but do you
dude.
really-
She killed
But do you really
herself.
think, though, honestly, do you really think Howard was thinking to himself, wow, this is great. She's falling apart. She's going to kill herself. I better keep going. I don't think that's what he was thinking. I think that his program
I
is
know.
racy, and they do controversial shit, and the
She
end
killed
result was not
herself.
good, but I don't think it's Howard's
Cannon
fault.
killed himself days later after
Yeah.
that Ric Flair thing.
Look, you know what the bottom line is? Howard Stern aside, and yes, he gave them the forum for it to happen, so I totally get that.
Wait, B40 says Farrell was on Stern back in the day. You were on Stern?
Here comes the Artie Lang comments again. I don't even know. I never even listened to Artie Lang. That's the funniest part, because I hear the Artie Lang thing from time to
B40,
time.
Stern is a fraud. Yeah, you know what? Stern,
That's fair. If you
Stern,
feel that way,
Stern
there's
is a
nothing wrong with
snake.
that.
He made his living taking advantage. How about Beetlejuice?
What about Beetlejuice?
How the abuse that person?
You know what's hilarious? If Beetlejuice had had a bad experience working for Vince McMahon, you would have said, give me a break. Where else would you have been exposed to the public and made money?
This is true.
So why don't you just take it for what it is? Okay?
When people are killing themselves, Look, you even said it. You saw in Canyon's eyes, right?
It was
I
horrible. You
almost
could
say
see it.
right.
Kanyon.
Kanyon. Thank you.
And no one's better than Kanyon.
Okay.
Okay, but you could see it in Chris Canyon's eyes. I could see the. You know what? I'm going to get upset now because I'm bipolar. That was hard. Yeah. So what? Yeah. So what? Anyway, but it was. I could see it in his eyes. I was like, oh my God, man, this is awful. This is awful. This is really hurting him. And by the way, can we get this in?
Yeah,
You're
go
a
ahead.
dick, Ric Flair. The fuck you talking to him like that for?
Oh, well, I'll tell you why. So,
Because Howard set him up to talk.
no,
to
because
what?
Kanyon went on saying that after that whole... so if everybody
You're not going
remembers...
to defend Ric Flair, are you? This is going to be interesting.
Well, I'm going to.
All right.
Because
wow.
here's the thing. Everybody remembers the Undertaker beatdown, the supposed beatdown. Again, I think it's a little exaggerated.
Do you
like-
really want to hurt
Right,
me?
right.
That was horrible. How
Right.
can they do that to him?
So...
Go on.
a lot of people were claiming on this video that
Yeah.
this was the WWE must have found out that Kanyon
Right.
was a homosexual.
Right.
And
They were sending him a
set him
message.
up.
Go
a
out there and
message.
embarrass
Which,
yourself.
by the way, you've heard stories from the WWE that they might do that type of stuff. But
Yep.
again, that's purely speculation. By the way, who Dark Side of the Ring pushes their agenda, right?
I love it, though. With Vince, it's purely speculation. God damn that Howard Stern. Look at you.
Is Vince fostering people to kill themselves?
He sent them out there dressed as Boy George, singing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" Boy George was clearly a homosexual. He's sending a message to Kanyon. Don't you pull that shit in this company. You better keep your big mouth shut.
Wow. So that's come on, man. What if we...
I can speculate just as fairly as you can.
Howard Stern is not speculation, dude.
It's not?
No. That's
Hey,
not,
it's me. It's Howard. What do you mean?
It's not speculation.
He's just a vicious fucking known to be.
Yeah,
That's
having
true.
his vicious fans
That's true.
call in and
Yeah.
attack the
Yeah.
innocent.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, one time I actually met Howard Stern.
Did you really?
What
Where?
a wiener. He was a wiener. Yeah, he was a wiener. Yeah, he was at the Ranger game, and I remember people were like trying to like talk to him and stuff, and he was basically like, "Fuck off and die."
B40 says Kanyon coming out as Boy George was a Billy Squire rock me tonight moment. Career over.
He's so right. That video when Billy came out in the pink, take me in your arms. It was like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're killing everything. You went from the
Wow.
stroke me, to that. It was bad, bro.
Wow, Todd saying people know before going on the show how Howard is, but still go on.
That's right.
So who's really to blame?
You know what? Fair point, right? Fair point. You know what you're getting into with Howard? I thought he was going to ask me questions about bowling. I don't understand what happened. Come on,
I don't know,
Howard
man.
is...
When people kill themselves like Dana Plato.
That was horrible.
That's always bothered me, dude. I stopped watching him when I found out she killed. I said, I will never participate in listening to that
Because
show
he
again.
enjoyed watching others shamed, and he laughed at it. That's why. And there's nothing wrong with that for you to hate
So
that.
let's get back to Flair.
Dana Plato was a very
So Kanyon
tragic
starts
situation.
passing around that Vince let him go because he was a homosexual.
Right, after the fact, right? After he
Ric
was
Flair
gone
was
from-
defending
Right.
and saying, stop blaming your poor career on being a homosexual and stop blaming your poor career on Vince McMahon. You suck.
Easy for Ric Flair to say when he's probably personally responsible for blocking 30 to 50 careers over his course of his time. Are you kidding me? Who the hell is Ric Flair to say something like that? Yeah, I just said that. Who the hell is Ric Flair? You know how many times Ric Flair blocks somebody's push in the back? We'll never know. Countless. I'm not putting that guy over. Get rid of that guy. That guy's a joke. That guy's a clown. That guy's this. That guy's that. I'm sure there was plenty of guys who came through the pike. Flair was like, down, son, down. So, I just think that I'm obviously partial to Kanyon. Obviously.
Why? But why?
But I'm also sickened by some of the behavior I heard. I came out of it more confused than ever watching that.
What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was that Kanyon was a tragic figure, but I don't believe that the agenda was all there was to it. Because the agenda was he did all of this because he was afraid to tell the world he was gay. I say bullshit to that. I'm sure that there was much more complicated scenarios that was plaguing Kanyon besides that one issue. You know what I mean? And he really did abuse. Listen, he abused James Mitchell was his best friend. Some of the things he did to him. I mean, come on. When you're having a bad day, do you grab the Pharaoh by the neck and want to kill him? I have to pull out a gun to get it clear to you that you got to behave around me? It's some bad shit, bro. I don't know what happened with Kanyon, but apparently there was a lot wrong with Chris Kanyon. And you know what? Nobody did anything to help him. Where were all the people like to help him? Did he even try to accept any help? Did they offer him any help? Or did they just dress him up as Boy George and tell him to go out there and sing?
Hard to argue with you, bro. When you say certain, it's hard to argue
You
that
know?
point. I can't argue with you.
I'm really angry at John Cena's comments. They couldn't be more wrong. For those of us who got it when it came to Chris Kanyon, that is the most insulting, stupid, uneducated comments I've ever heard. John Cena, you are clueless when it comes to Chris Kanyon. Clueless. Just because you're a big giant star and you made it to the top, and same goes for Ric Flair, just because you're a big giant star and you made it to the top, does not mean that Chris Kanyon wasn't great. He was great, okay? You can have your Black Sabbaths. You can also have your Blue Oyster Cults. There's some greatness to go around the room. There is. But when one suppresses the other, which I do believe does happen, come on, the politics in pro wrestling, there's plenty of great guys who couldn't crack that ceiling. Plenty of them. So for Ric Flair to be like, oh, your bad career, give me a break, Rick. I would have rather watched, and to be very honest, 1999, when Flair's boobs were starting to turn into Flair's boobs, I would have rather seen Kanyon. I didn't want to see 50-something-year-old Ric Flair. I would have rather seen Chris Kanyon. Hell, my favorite at the time was Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho. The last thing I wanted to see was Flair's tits. How about them apples, Nature Boy? You want to swing your weenie like a helicopter for me, Captain Righteous?
So close out with this then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who is responsible for the death of Chris Kanyon?
At the end of the day?
Yeah.
Chris Kanyon.